7:38 here, Big 550 KTRS. Kathy Helbig joins us. She's our go-to. She's our real estate guru, the Kathy Helbig Group. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning.
What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about, people ask all the time, should I fix my house up or should I sell it as is?
Great question.
It is a great question. And the answer is depends. Usually it's not the best idea when I sit down and talk to people and find out what their motivations are, why they're thinking I want to sell my house as is. Because the word as is a lot of times is a trigger for buyers that makes them think, number one, they should be able to get it for a lot cheaper,
right.
Yes, for a song. And number two, what's wrong with it? So there is a big pool of buyers out there that really just can't do as is homes anyway. They don't have the extra money to put into it.
Right.
They need to have everything into their loan. So it's actually going to shrink your buyer pool if you go that route. Also, you really got to think about who your audience is when you do this. So an as-is home to a consumer, they're going to look at, well, let's say you need a new roof on. The consumer thinks that's $10,000 to put on a roof. It's a $100,000 house. They're not going to offer you $90,000. They got to go through all the inconvenience of putting the roof on, shopping for contractors. What if they tear that roof off and they find out that it needs all these other things? So for that $10,000 roof, they might offer you $20,000 less for the house.
Right.
So those are the type of things you have to take into account when we're sitting down and figuring out if you should go that route or not. One thing that's important to think about is a lot of times people say, well, I did my appliances, I did my roof, I painted some things exterior, but the inside needs all kinds of cosmetic repairs. I haven't touched my bathroom in 30 years. My kitchen is outdated. My appliances are on their last leg, but I want to sell my house as is. But everything else that I did was fine. Those are the things that are important to people. So if you can think about just a little bit of money in cosmetic can be a huge return. And you have to think about who you're competing against too. So if we pull up the comps and see what are the houses for sale and the price point that you're wanting to list at, and if they all have updated kitchens and bathrooms, you're probably going to need to do updated kitchens and bathrooms. If you choose not to, you're going to have to list that house so significantly much lower than the competition for you to get anybody to bite, because most of the time it's going to be investors. They're going to be interested in doing that.
And the investor is the more savvy buyer.
It's the more savvy buyer, and there also has to be the profit margin put in. So they've got to be able to come in and buy the house for a price that can accommodate all the items that need to be repaired,
right,
and then have a profit margin and also commissions on top of it to turn around and resell it. So you're talking about, sometimes 30% less for a house that you could go in and put $5,000 to $10,000 worth of work into and get $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 back on the house.
So that's what you do. You come in and say, look, don't do this, do that. This is where your money is well spent.
And what we find is a lot of times people have this whole list when I sit down with them of the things that they're going to do that is overwhelming to them. And I go through there and half those things are not significant. Like as long as the main items are functioning in the house, the heating, the cooling, the appliances, the roof is in decent shape, we can work through some of those other things. Like I had one guy one time argue with me that he needed to take down every single picture in the house. Every hole needed to be filled.
Right.
Like he had this crazy, because for him, that was so important. I'm looking at him like, no one cares about that stuff. They're expecting some of those things to be that way.
What do you say to the person who comes in and says, I got grandma's house, it hasn't been updated in 100 years, it's in a beautiful part of town, it's great on the outside, but the inside hasn't been touched since the Roosevelt administration?
Best bang for your buck is to get rid of all of grandma's furnishings, to get rid of wallpaper, fresh paint, not white people. I have so many people call me after they've gone through and they thought they've neutralized the house, and I walk in and it's a white box. Do not do white paint. It looks like a builder's inventory home. It does not attract people. It does not photograph well. It's cold. So we need to do neutral, beigey, gray tones. Fresh paint just covers a multitude of things. New flooring. We can get builder grade flooring for not much money that transforms the house.
Right.
And staging just covers a multitude of sins on older homes like that. Another really big trend right now, which you're lucky if you're selling your house in this time frame, is painted cabinets. 10 or 15 years ago, when we go in a house with painted cabinets, everybody went thumbs down. Like, what the heck? Why they paint these wood cabinets? Now it's the trend. So you have old oak, outdated cabinets. For a couple $1,000s, you can have your whole kitchen transformed with paint, and it's trendy. Take advantage of it now.
There you go. You need Kathy Helbig to tell you it's trendy. That's why she'll tell you barn doors aren't trendy.
You're still okay.
He is still
We're
stuck
late
on that.
in the
Yes,
Midwest.
I never let things go. What are you talking about?
Don't.
KathyHelbigGroup.com, KathyHelbigGroup.com. That's why you want to call her for all of your buying and selling needs. 314-276-SOLD or KathyHelbigGroup.com.